Technology is always going to be ahead of the regulatory curve, and that's the fundamental problem that we have domestically and in Europe, is the regulators are always trying to catch something like a bar of soap. It's moving too quickly, and we're living in an age where technology isn't moving in a linear fashion, it's moving in an exponential fashion, and we're at a pivotal time, rather like the Industrial Revolution, where everything is starting to run away with us. And from the technology perspective, we've opened a Pandora's box, and the regulators don't quite know how to deal with it. They can't close it, and it's starting to get away from them. The gaming industry has a record of trying to educate politicians. Politicians, many of them are backward looking, many of them are not happy with the technologies which are being used on the platforms we see today, whether it be the mobile, whether it be the tablet platform, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook. The industry has to satisfy two criteria, transparency and trust. They both came up during the conversation here this morning. If they can achieve that, then the next stage is finding politicians who are prepared to act as champion. And speaking as a minor politician in my own right, this is an area that politicians are reluctant to pursue on a public platform. Gaming is a difficult one for them because it doesn't win much in the way in votes, and it also attracts a tremendous amount of criticism. Politicians have to match this against the revenue opportunities that they can actually leverage from a successful industry which is well regulated, which is responsible, which is transparent, and which is trusted. And I think the two can work together if, for example, the gaming industry recognizes that it is sitting on tremendous amounts of useful information and data that it can actually assist politicians with in the world of big data. And we heard from Amazon yesterday that big data is part of the key to actually solving this problem. Sharing information, trust and transparency. We are aware that we are living in very, very difficult times of major austerity. And so, for example, if I look at my area of the world where I'm involved in politics, these are people who are struggling to deal with the cost of living. And these are people who are actually struggling with cheap loan providers too. And there is a fear on the part of politicians, I suspect, that regardless of the attractive nature of the income stream from gambling, and after all, National Lottery is a great success, that most vulnerable people might move to a gambling environment if it is not tightly controlled or indeed legislated away from them. And that is a fear today, that the people who, for example, use or just buy lottery tickets might be encouraged to become fixated on trying to find that cheap fix on gambling. Now that is, there's no evidence to support that. It's probably quite untrue, but it is still a natural sort of visceral fear on the part of politicians. And the example I might best use is the kind of deregulation of licensing in the UK. Remember, under the last government, we had a free-for-all for licensing in our streets. And that has had a tremendous kind of social impact on small towns and large towns everywhere. And I suspect that many politicians feel that gambling has parallels with that, because if they let the genie out of the bottle, they can't put it back in again. And they look at what happened with licensing and with drinking and with alcohol, and they worry, perhaps unrealistically, that that might happen with the technology platforms that we're seeing around us today. I think what the industry really needs is a lucid, well-connected champion who not only understands the industry and the regulatory, obviously, environment, but the technology can work with politicians who are educated, have an interest in the technology, and are able to see the benefits not only for the income stream and taxation which would come from this, but also encouraging new businesses to thrive. And after all, the gaming industry is something in the UK we need to thrive. We're trying to encourage companies back from the likes of Canada to actually develop applications in the UK. We should be doing the same thing. Yes, in a controlled manner, but we should be embracing and working with businesses, but we need somebody or a group that can take forward and present a pragmatic and lucid argument to government, and so they can see realistically how they should move forward.